Okay, hello and welcome. This is going to be a short video just to show you how to save your data and how to save your project. So if you're kind of having any sort of confusion and you're worried about saving your work, this is sort of a good video to watch. So in short, I'm in AppStream right now, and my previous advice to you was to basically use your temporary files, right? And this is what was told to me by IT. And so, what I told you basically before is like go into your OneDrive, copy your class data or whatever and move it every time into the temporary files. I am going to kind of recant that advice and sort of apologize. My views on it have evolved basically, and it's largely because students have told me that it's actually not so bad just using the OneDrive. So just using the OneDrive actually has some significant benefits. One being that you don't have to copy and paste. So, previously I told you, okay, go into your class data, right? Grab your class data every single time. And this process alone takes a while, right? So it's just kind of slows you down. As you can see, it's not responding right now. So this sort of goes to show that it's not the best system. But so we're going to copy, and we already know that AppStream like at a baseline is slow, right? So so that said, okay, so that actually copied pretty fast. That was one of the fastest times I've seen it copied. So you can still do this, and it should be faster. The only risk that you run is if your links get broken, basically. So like if you didn't put this GIS class underscore pro 1E in the same place every time called the same thing, then your computer might break the links in the aprx file. So that's copying over right now. But what I'm going to say is actually like, don't do this unless you need to, unless you find that working through your OneDrive is just really, really slow. And it's going to be at least a little slow at a baseline. But if it's not like killing you, then in a way this is better. So let me sort of show you kind of what I'm talking about. So I've got this aprx file, the project file, which is my demonstration project file. So I'll just go in here and I'll just say file, save as. Okay. Now remember the aprx file down here, the Arc Pro project file, ArcGIS Pro project file, right? That's what that stands for. This is just pointing to the data, so it doesn't actually hold the data. Your data is in that folder I just showed you, basically. So in my folders, I've got my OneDrive already connected, and I can show you how to do that again too. But just this is all. If you go up to here, if you go up to the path, just click in the path, right? And that tells you, okay, it's in my OneDrive, it's in my files. For me, I've got a very complicated file structure. Hopefully, you have a slightly more simple one, but I will navigate to a place that I can put it. A good way to do this too, and this is just a shortcut, is just that you use the file explorer to find where you want to go with it first. And I recommend this because it helps you kind of see that things are working. So if I go into geography, 318, this is my my folder where I keep everything, right? So here's my demonstration folder. I'm just going to create a new one just because I want to show you. So I'm doing this on the 28th. I'm doing it on January 28th. So I like putting little timestamps in my names, just because then I know, okay, I did this on this day, and if I create a new one tomorrow, I can have a new one, and like I can make progress that way. So what I like to do is just like, okay, let's go in here and let's go and grab this whole path. So you can just copy that whole path. You can paste it directly in here, paste it, right? And then I just put something on the end. So this is what I want to call it. So actually I'm going to call it the exact same thing. I'm going to call it demo _1 _28 _2021. Same thing. So it's going to be in that folder. It's going to have that same name. It's going to have a .aprx file at the end of it. So I'm going to say, okay, go ahead and save that. And then you should watch the name up here should change from demonstration to demo _1 _28 _2021. There it goes. Cool. And then if I just go back, what I like to do is just like go into that folder and just make sure it showed up there, right? It says ArcGIS project file. That's an aprx file. It's got this little blue icon, right? It showed up. It says that it this date modified is off. Well, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's here. So here it is. And we've got that. And so that's the demo file, right? So right now, for instance, it's looking at this data. And one way to look at like where this data is, like, okay, I've got the volcanoes in there. It doesn't live in that folder that I just created because it lives on the disk. And so if you go to source, and if you go to in the source, like one of the fields it has is the path where it lives, right? So in this case, it's D, Photon users, OneDrive files, blah, blah, blah. And this is in Oregon data, right? So if I were to move this Oregon data or something were to change here, this would be broken. The link would be broken to it, and you'd get that red exclamation point there, so you can't use it. Now, you can always go to set data source and go find it if you moved it somewhere, but just be careful when you're moving data around because these aprx files won't be able to reference it. So real quick, make sure one of the first things that you do is go into your folders and you add a folder connection. And I actually would recommend you do it to like a high level directory like D. If you can just do D, it doesn't let you do D. So you can do folders, and you can go to your AppStream, for instance. Or like for me, I go to teaching and like, okay, 318, that's like where all my stuff is. So I'm just gonna go, okay. And then anytime I wanna get into there, it's here in the catalog over here, right? And so all my stuff is in there. That's great. So yeah, so this is kind of just how you save it. And then every time you save it, you can just go and go save, right? And it's gonna go back and it's gonna save to your thing over here, right? You can refresh that and you'll see it was 5:15, and hopefully it'll refresh and it'll say something a little later. The clock it's using is not my clock, it's a different clock, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, oh, it's still refreshing. Okay, well, anyway, it's here, right? So what you could do too is like say, all right, that's cool, I did that, but I made some progress on it, and I want to make sure that that I know that I made progress on it, and I'm going to call it something different. I like to just use similar names, but just in new, just give it something else. So I could just say, call it the same thing. It's the same day, but I'll just say version 2 being more updated, that kind of thing. And so I'd say, all right, cool. I'm going to go in there, and as you get, as you do this more and more, you'll get better at this, and you'll kind of come up with your own naming conventions and that kind of thing. So I'm going to say, as soon as this is done, super annoying. But as soon as this is done, I'm going to go ahead and save it as, I'm going to save it into that version 2 project. I'm going to make sure that it shows up there and that kind of thing. I can make a quick change to it too, so we can see a change. Not that we need to, but yeah. So, okay. So basically I want to save it as, so let's just go ahead and save as, and I've created that folder here, this version 2 folder. So I'm going to throw it in here. Remember, I just copy and paste this path. It's like kind of the easiest way to do it. Paste and hit enter, and it's going to bring me to this new folder. Excuse me, it doesn't have anything in it. I'm going to call it the same thing, right? And I'm going to hit save, and it's going to show up there in that folder. So again, this is how you check your work, right? Okay, boom, there it is, version 2, it's saved. I'm happy, great. Let me show you something real quick. So let's just close out of here. We just saved it, and let's open it again. So I'm going to open it again. Also, you can just double click on this and it'll open it straight away. There's 2 ways to open it, but I want to show you something in terms of opening it from ArcGIS Pro over here. One other thing while we're waiting for that, let's go to OneDrive. You can go to your OneDrive app. You can also go to a browser, right? And the thing I want to do is basically just show you how to navigate to it. Check it on your OneDrive so that you make sure that it did in fact save to your OneDrive, so you can have some peace of mind, basically. So in this way, it'll make it a little bit easier to just save your work to your OneDrive. It might be a touch slower, but it seems to be more secure. Okay, so check it out. I've got demo 128/2021, and then the same thing, but with a V2 on the end. And these will show up in my recent projects here. What's nice about this is that, oh wait, did I not save these to the right place? Crap, I may not have saved these to the right place. Let's check. I thought I did. Oh no, they are in there. Okay, they are in there. They're in the OneDrive. So the point is actually, if I closed out my session of AppStream, and I came back in, I could actually open one of those recent files because it's referencing the same place on the AppStream computer where it goes through my OneDrive basically. So so you can actually kind of go back directly to your work that way too, which is kind of nice. Okay, so let's just get into OneDrive here real fast. Just make sure we're seeing what we want to see. I assume it's going to. Okay. So just to double check, just to make sure that we, everything is showing up where we think it's showing up. I did this in the labs, right? And I've got my demonstration that I can go in there. It was modified 4 minutes ago. Okay, you'll notice there's nothing in here yet, right? It doesn't show anything yet, which is a little bit worrying, right? Why doesn't it show anything there yet? And the reason is because it hasn't uploaded yet, basically. So you got to give the computer a little bit of a chance to upload it. Now, if we go to the first one, it might have uploaded that one. Yeah, and that one's there. So in the first one that I created, the aprx file is there, but in the second one, it hasn't showed up yet. Here's the thing, it will eventually, but you got to give it a little time. So this is why you don't want to just like close your AppStream and just move on. I would leave that open until you see what you expect to see here, basically. So like this is really the last confirmation that you've saved your work. Just go to wherever you think you saved it, and you can always go back here, sorry, right? And it's here. We know that it's here in the folder on your OneDrive, but we don't see it actually on your OneDrive here. And so what you can do is you can just refresh it for one. Not sure how to refresh in Firefox. Oh, here it is. But just refresh it. Okay, nothing shows up. Still not there. That's a little bit worrying. Wait and keep refreshing it until it shows up. Once it shows up, you know that it's there, then you can close out and you're good to go. The other option is you can actually just, oh, wait, a few seconds ago, something saved. Okay, so actually things are starting to show up here. It does take a little while. The other option is you can actually just literally take this stuff and drag it and drop it. That's another way to do it, kind of fast track it. But both of those options should work. So hopefully that helps you just in terms of feeling a little bit better about saving your work. Remember just to go file save often, and it's going to save to wherever you want it to save, and just make sure you save it to your OneDrive. Now, if you want to save it as, give it a version 2 just to show some progress, give it another timestamp. That's kind of good practice, I think, just so you can always like have these different steps you can go back to. But yeah, so try that. Just try using your OneDrive. I apologize for the temporary files thing. It's what was told to me. And if you start using really big data sets or remote sensing imagery and things that are larger, this might be more of an issue. But since the class data is relatively small and simple, it shouldn't have too much trouble reading and writing. So anyway, that's all I got for you. Good luck. Let me know on Slack if you have any trouble with this. Hopefully the video was helpful. All right. Stopping.